Hi folks, this is your MWIS planning outlook with our latest longer range thoughts. We've got some wintry conditions across the Scottish mountains at the moment with some snow cover over the higher terrain, and that will stay in place onwards into Wednesday with some further snowfalls as well. The freezing level will stay at or below 1,000 metres, and in some places nearer to 800 metres at times, especially in more central parts of the Highlands. That freezing level will tend to rise somewhat in the days ahead as we get some milder air coming up from the south, so things will turn more to rain as the next system comes in. So a short-lived episode of some wintry conditions just to tease us into the start of the season. Generally, in the next week ahead or so, we'll keep temperatures that bit milder, with just the highest of mountain tops occasionally dipping to freezing points. This is around Saturday, Sunday, and we're just back to that 1,000 to 1,200 metre level, at least for a while. Next week, I think milder west-southwesterlies are more likely to dominate. Quite a complicated weather situation then during the middle of this week, with a broad zone of low pressure circulating slowly across Scotland, and that's got areas of rain and hill snow just moving around quite slowly, and some heavier bursts of rain and upland snow in there across more central, southwestern parts of the Highlands for a while through Wednesday, and some strengthening winds coming down from the north with time, with some rain and hill snow just moving into more northern areas, particularly later on. A showery and chilly, strong west-southwesterly wind across northern England, fewer showers over Wales on Wednesday. The pattern just moves around a bit into Thursday as pressure briefly builds. The wind drops light for a while, but low pressure over the Atlantic is not too far away, and that's moving in with strengthening south-southeasterlies through Thursday daytime. Some rain approaching as well, and that pushing further in later in the daytime. It could well be that many places escape dry until the evening, so dry conditions until practically dusk across a good part of the country. Just the western coastal mountains deteriorating later in the day, and winds will strengthen to gale or even severe gale force increasingly through the second half of Thursday. Into the night, those gales and heavy rain will continue. So low pressure is going to be on the scene, and it does look a rather unsettled trend then, and even the longer range projections over the next week or more do suggest that it's an unsettled pattern coming off the Atlantic. So spells of rain and showers, the day-to-day detail open to some question, but it does look to be a pretty unsettled story. Some heavier belts of rain in the mix at times, and strong winds all too frequent. So not offering much optimism, I'm afraid, really, into the weekend. It's an unsettled autumnal chart, really, with west or southwesterly gales across higher terrain. Precipitation most frequent in western Scotland. Here again, it may just fall as some sleet and snow on the higher Munros. The Atlantic then is lining up with a series of weather systems onwards into next week, so it does look as though we stay unsettled. There's the 7-day pressure pattern averaged out over the period from the 3rd to the 10th of November, and the blue colours expansive across the North Atlantic suggest that lower than average pressure is very much in play, and that keeps things very unsettled coming in on a west to southwesterly. So no real respite to an obvious window of drier and calmer conditions in that part of the forecast at least. Further onwards, and that blue colour does ease away, we go back to nearer average conditions, but we may well still see some low pressure over the Atlantic. The weather systems maybe not quite as significant, and just a hint of some building pressure perhaps with time. Indications still favouring, as we looked at a week ago pretty much, of the middle and second half of November, offering greater scope for some high pressure conditions, but that's a long way off still, and the opportunities to find quiet inversion conditions are still a long way down the line, so keep an eye on these videos for that planning further ahead into the middle of the month. Prepare for regularly rather poor conditions then on the mountains, I'm afraid, in the next week or so. All your local details on our website. That's all for today. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.